Oh, hello. It's Wednesday, my crew. Welcome to episode 351 of Digital Iliad. We're working on some FTL-like games in Godot. How's everyone doing? Hey, Commander Apollo. Hey, Adagon, thanks for the hydrate. Rimas, how's it going? Cake Hug. Double D Grek, how's it going there over on the YouTubes? I see you. How's everyone doing this fine Wednesday here? We got some good time here to do some game dev. Should be good times. Commander, you can't stay very long. No worries. Appreciate you flying by. Adagon, you pushed a new site update. I saw you've been busy. I gotta dig into the details, but it's looking very good. It's not like we're competing with, you know, Ludum Dare or anything, but our Data Jam's looking pretty good. You're doing good? Thanks. That's good to hear, Greg. All right, so we're working on our side project, Lo-Fi Flyby. We've been working on mocking up a starter ship. We've been working on like figuring out the different rooms and details. It's going to be kind of a rust bucket. I'm trying to narrow down the look. I don't know if I still don't know if I love this engine room. But whatever. We got to add another room in the front, another room below. We got a number of things to do. I've been working on the capsule art. Let's see if this loads. We've been refining the capsule art. I think we're heading in a direction. My art director says this is better. I don't have conflicting tangents or overlaps or whatever fancy words she used. So we're heading in a direction. We're getting close. The last thing I got to do is I got to compare this to the actual capsule art frames, and we got to see what the frames look like, which I have another file that has the different frames. Hey, Pete Gorley. Sapphire, insert gif of a spaceship made of gemstones coming by. Can't stay, no worries. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the flyby. That's what we're gonna call it. We're gonna add like a flyby command or something maybe. Looking good. Thanks, Commander. You're trying to get back into novel writing. It's hard for you to stay focused for long periods of time. You're trying to make a little tabletop role-playing game out of it. Oh, nice. Okay. I can see that being fun. But yeah, so we're gonna do a few things today. I think I'll compare some of the framings just because I have it available. Which means either recreating the frames here or making some changes. Is this text too high up? I don't know. Maybe that's better. Something like this. Kind of want to bring the title down a little. I just don't want to include little corners when I'm cropping. This is better, I think. But yeah, we got to compare that stuff. Got to keep working on our mock-up. Art day. I got my art tablet in front of me. I'm not currently using it, but I should. Hey, Commander Apollo's on a 25 stream streak. That's amazing. Appreciate that. Hey, Rhiannon. Greg, you're interested in also making an isometric game, maybe. How do you calculate dimensions for it? You're curious on the art process? Yeah, sure. Let's talk about that. That's cool. That's a cool thing to talk about. Sorry if takes me a while to get to your message over on YouTube. There's a bit of a latency, but mostly the latency is on my end, as far as my attention to detail. So let's see. Where is a good example? So like here's a very pink diagram of kind of the difference between what I'm doing right now and what a typical isometric art style would be. So isometric is this, you know? These are two different ways you could do it, where you either have some overlapping lines or you don't have any overlapping lines. We don't do overlapping lines anymore, so I'm just going to use this example. I don't know, whatever. Maybe this example is better. So like the rule for isometric from a pixel art standpoint, because it's not true isometric, because blah, 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 blah. Yada, yada. You go 2 pixels over for every 1 pixel you go up. So you see this here, right? So like this is considered a straight line in isometric, right? We go 2 over, 1 up, well, and over. So, you know, people will call this 2 to 1, right? Some people. What we're doing for my game is we're doing 4 to 1. So this is like a dimetric perspective, which the DI is for Digital Iliad, but it kind of works, right? So this is different. This has different rules slightly. I've picked this style for my game for the specific reason that it makes it so I can draw characters as kind of like little cardboard cutouts. Like it's an angle that's flat enough. It's angled enough that you get like environmental art perspective stuff, and it's flat enough that if you have these little 2D side-on little character drawings, they don't look too out of place. And you can kind of mix. So like these, you can see the back walls are like fully in perspective. You can kind of see that the chairs aren't fully in perspective. They're kind of in between. Like you can see the left side and the right side of the chair here in these shots because they're turned. Whereas like the characters themselves are just totally flat. And so that kind of lets me fade from or transition from background elements to foreground elements. If you're looking at doing like isometric specifically, my process for figuring that out, and I went through this kind of recently. So like, here's a little isometric truck I drew, right? That I'm mildly proud of. The trick is to figure out what the rules are. So like, this is isometric. So you're still trying to work out the perspective and everything. And like, this is janky, sure. But it follows a set of rules. Like you define constraints. Like what I did when I started this out was I drew the boxcar part first, because it was like pretty easy to determine how to draw a box. And I made some choices about what to do for like right angles, right? How I'm going to represent right angles. And so I established these rules. I'm like, okay, here's a box. And now I'm like, well, where's the rest of the truck? And so that's when you started thinking about like perspectives and stuff and lines and everything. And you're like, okay, well, here's the part of the truck you can see. It's like set back when the truck is facing away from you. And when the truck is facing towards you, here's like the way the cab would get angled, sort of. And it's pretty hard to represent things at this resolution. Like it's pretty abstract. But I like it. I like the challenge. Or specifically, it's a challenge that I appreciate. And like, not everything makes sense, right? Like, what's this 1 pixel doing here? It's not even really consistent with this view. So like, it's tricky. But that's I guess a short version of my process. I like rules. I like establishing rules of like, okay, here's the dividing lines for these different faces. What does that do when you start to mix them together and try to carve the shapes up? Okay, you get stuff like this. So I like to establish rules. It's a very mechanical way of drawing. My actual artist partner thinks it's kind of weird. But, you know, it lets you do tricks. Like, I can take this and cut it in half, and, like, I know how to do the translation in, like, half scale. Because I've set up rules, right? There's still a lot of judgment involved, but I don't know. That's my explanation. That's my that's my solicited but unprepared explanation of my art style. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. If you want to share your work, we have a Discord we'd love for you to be a part of. There should be a link on the channel page for you on YouTube. Greg, so you create and use templates in blocking the scene using the constraints you selected, like a ground tile, etc., or have you mistaken the process? For me, that's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate, and like that's not that different than like, you know, the way you would like scope out like a perspective, any perspective drawing, right? Like you figure out the grid that you're drawing on. Like I'm trying to Renaissance perspective. Like, that's not that different than, like, this kind of stuff, right? I don't know how good this website is, but it's like when you're drawing in perspective, you do the same thing. You like figure out, you're like, okay, what's the grid that I'm working on? So this is like a 1-point perspective. You can figure out vanishing. Like there's a lot of technical things that you can do in preparation to do drawing, right? And you'll see a lot of that in a lot of like Renaissance work, especially stuff around architecture. Because like people you can kind of fake, but architecture is like looks really weird and out of place when you don't do it. And yeah, I just kind of try to work that out for the isometric and dimetric perspectives, and that kind of shapes my process. I work from the small, I work from details, and then the details are assembled into something bigger. That's just my personal process. I'm not saying that's a good process. When I'm doing something like this and I'm building something out of assets, a detail-oriented approach I think is good. When I'm trying to do like an art piece like this, like a capsule art piece, it's kind of bad because I settled on like specific elements I wanted to include, and then I had to like work them into a composition, and that was kind of hard because I didn't start from thinking about the composition. I had to like work my way backwards. So different approaches work depending on what your goal is. For sure. It was unintentional that there would be this kind of eye thing here and an eye thing here, but I think I'll stick with it. All right, let's grab that other frame. But yeah, I'm not a trained artist. I'm a programmer. Well, I don't even say, when people confront me, I say I'm not a programmer either. I make games. I have to do a number of things to make games. I have to program, I have to design, I have to make art or sound. But I'm not like, I'm a generalist. I don't specialize in any of those things. Okay, here's the original. So you see how much of a mess my original compositions were? They were like so busy. And so my options here are to keep working in this space or to move things over into this space. I kind of just want to transfer the frames. The like different frame layers I have here. Can I just do that? I already worked out the dimensions of these, so I don't really want to change them. And then the trick is to just make them like really low opacity. And then so I could see, so for like this frame, I would probably do something like this or whatever, right? Like I'd have to do something like this. There isn't room for anything else. Kind of bad. I might have to rethink some of these frames. I tried to pick ratios that would result in the least amount of like distortion. But it does mean some of these are going to be kind of tight. Unless I do tricks like I put this down 1 more pixel. Oop. I think it's getting a little crowded. But I think it's important to have some space underneath the text. So like this I'd be okay with as like a header, as a capsule header. I think I'd be okay with this. Some people would argue I should move these elements around and reframe it. But I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Some of them we're going to have to do that for. Some of these are not going to make any sense. So what size is this? Is it 128? These are the same size. Some of these we'll have to reframe. Makes sense. Your process is it's probably closer to the one you were developing. You're dev too, so you're more into technical stuff. Yeah, I think it's like, I think it really depends on what you're working on. Like if you're building something out of assets, I think this very detail-oriented approach can work for you. But if you're trying to make a whole art piece, something more organic, something with more thought to it, I think that's a hard approach. It's a tough approach. And I don't know what to do about that personally. All right, what are the other framings we have? So we also have a small. I'm not sure about the small. I'm tempted to like double this out to its maximum size, which would be 120 by 45. Like, what would 120 by 45 be here? Oh, it would be quite big, wouldn't it? Maybe like this. That's pretty big. We could do something else for the small capsule. I'm not sure about what to do with the small capsule frame. Let's grab the main, though. Okay, so for this one, we got some more space. The only real question is what to do with that space. Probably something like this. Maybe something like this, though. Maybe just more headroom. I don't know if headroom is good. I think favoring the top side is better. Problem is making art awakens your OCD perfectionism. You nitpick too much. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. That's part of the reason I work in such a low resolution. For me, it's crazy obvious if like I put someone's arm pixel in the wrong spot. Like I don't really need to know much about anatomy or anything else at this resolution. So it's helped minimize the amount of that I do. But we spent all day yesterday just building and rebuilding this one room. So, and I might even rebuild it again today. So maybe I shouldn't talk about that. I kind of want to elongate this room. The only thing I don't want to do is widen it, because if I widen it, there's unfortunate things that happen. I'm thinking that what there will be is there will be like an engine on the left here and an engine on the right on the sides. And like parts of those big turbines will be in here. And so there will be a space in the middle where you can like do stuff, I guess. Like service the engine or whatever. And we'll have a similar compartment in the front. I guess I'll decide when I'm doing the front compartment what I feel about this. Oh, we got someone to ban over on Twitch. Load the photon torpedoes. Target, I don't know, their warp core, I guess. Ready, aim, fire. Man, nobody was here to he's dead Jim me. Sad. Yeah, I hate this composition now that I'm looking at it. All right, the vertical is gonna be interesting. We'll have to decide whether we want. Thank you. Thanks, Remus. Thanks for not keeping me hanging here. All right, we'll grab this. Throw the vertical capsule in here. All right, yeah, this is going to be trickier. I don't know if I love the whole, like, the ship is just going off screen. Maybe that's okay. I think this would be okay for the vertical. It feels a little crowded. I feel like maybe there's too much space here. I could reduce the space. I don't want to get these two lines too close together, though. Oh yeah, the background. I forgot about the page background. This is looking all right from a contrast standpoint. Pretty happy with this. So what if I can't see the end? So what if it's just like this? It's a little weird. It's a little like, what am I seeing? When it's framed like this. Her like accelerating away. Maybe I set her back a little bit in it. Right now she's in the middle of it. And I could set her further to the back. Not sure. Hey, Lost Sleep Games. Yeah, you do 3D because you can't turn your perfectionist off when you're working with pixel art. You embrace the jank with 3D. I like 3D. I never do 3D when I'm like responsible for the art. I can only do 2D. I don't have like a 3D workflow. But yeah, when I'm doing a game jam and I'm allowed to use assets, I love doing a 3D game. Our game jam we're doing not this weekend, but next weekend, Solo Dev Jam number 11 is going to be another one of those. I've made a few of those already, 3D games for Solo Dev Jam. It's been fun. We made a little driving game. We made a reverse farming game. And yeah, this jam is in 9 days. So not this Friday, but next Friday. Super fun jam. And yeah, I look forward to making a 3D game because I can only do that if I'm like kit bashing. And yeah, when I'm kit bashing, I like 3D because I have a hard time kit bashing 2D, especially pixel art 2D because they're all very different. But yeah, when I'm making my own art, I can only for some reason I only have eyes for like isometric 2D art. I don't want to do side on really. I don't want to do top down. pretty much only want to do some kind of a diametric thing. But how's it going, Lost Sleep Games? That's a great name. Appreciate you swinging by here. Page background. Wake up, computer. And by computer, I mean my keyboard. There we go. There we go. What is happening right now? There we go. Page background might be this, but like without the title turned on or something. Something like this. Or maybe it'd just be the background. Maybe it's like we turn everything off. Just have it be like the background or something. Something like that for the page background. We're working through all the different capsule images you need to make a Steam page. That's the thing we're working on right now. We're working on the capsule and we're working on the screenshots, which we're mocking up because right now everything we do is gray boxed. So we're mocking stuff up at full detail. I think it's a good idea. I think it's going to help us identify some more art direction stuff, especially UI stuff, because I have an idea for a few UI menus. Maybe what would be better than cargo loading, unloading would be like exterior ship interactions. Maybe this would be better if we did like exterior view, two ships interacting, question mark. I think that could be good. I might need to look at these resolutions again. So I think our header capsule was like 92 by 43 because I was like, well, that'll be easy. I've been optimizing for this size of the small capsule, but maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe I can figure something else out. You're doing good. You're working on a prototype. You need a body double to stay focused, so found the stream. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Appreciate that. Yeah, we do this. We do this usually 5 days a week unless something's going on, like a game jam or any reason I have to, you know, cancel. But yeah, we stream Tuesday through Saturday usually. However, I am going to miss the next two streams. I'm going to miss the Thursday and the Friday streams. Some work stuff on Friday that just came up, literally just came up. And then I've got my my parents are coming into the city tomorrow, so I'm going to go hang out with them. So this will be the last stream until Saturday this week, but that's unusual. Bundle assets, okay. I don't actually need a bundle asset, but I'm just going to do this by default, just so I have an example. I don't know what I'm going to do for this, though. This is too small. It's fine. It is optional. I'll just ignore that for now. You do 3D? What do you do your 3D game dev in? Lost Sleep. If you don't mind me asking. We're Godot. We're a Godot house here.
Just wanted to call you early and say Happy New Year's before I get too blackout or brown out or one of the browns. I mean out.
If I say something mean in response to the word unity, don't worry about it. Don't take it personally. All right. Well, the small capsule is the one I'm concerned about. And what we do here is we have a small version of the logo. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that in a way that's satisfying. Here we've got it like super tight. The small logo. It's like right in there. And I think that's like really just too much. Well, ignore the unfortunate nature of that. Let's take the small logo and do this here though. Let's make another one of these. Just in case that's the answer. We'll call this maybe 2x. Maybe 2p. 2 pixel. 2px. This will be lo-fi flyby 1 pixel. Doesn't really matter where it is for the moment. Hey, Nix. How's it hanging? Blender and Godot? That's what we like to hear. Greg, you're doing the same? Awesome. I'll say the same thing. We have a little Discord. We have a little Discord server for this community. If you're interested, I would encourage one or both of you to join. It's always nice to see a game dev doing Godot. I wonder how my art director would feel about something like this. This would be bad, huh? Oh, for the bundle asset, this might be okay, actually. It's probably too small. It's probably too small. That's not even what I was looking at either. I'm looking at the small capsule. Let's go grab the small capsule. I'm gonna need to make this bigger and just accept the whatever weird compression happens, and then see what happens, and then see what that looks like. Doing pixel art at these very specific resolutions is like kind of challenging. New capsule. Small. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. Maybe there's like some totally different framing that would work. It doesn't actually have Ripley in it. I'd be so skeptical of doing anything without Ripley, though. I know her name's not Ripley. I literally watched Aliens last night. Give me a break. I say unnecessarily aggressively. Tall is too tall. I don't know what I'm going to do for the small capsule yet. It's okay. I don't really need to know. I think we're going to have to make it bigger. I'll have to figure out a resolution I've like. Oh, nice. You have the rest of the week off work next? That sounds nice. You joined. Ooh, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, please feel free to share your work, ask questions. We're not like super, you know, there's a varying level of expertise for sure. But we're happy to help. We're happy to help. All right, let's close that file for a while. All right, I don't know what to do about the rest of the capsule framings, but that's fine. I can figure it out. I'm pretty happy with this. And I think the header and the main will be fine. I just need to try these and see how much I hate having the right edge of this bubble just cut off. It might be fine. If it's not fine, there's not much I can do. Except maybe reverse the orientation, but I like this orientation. Not so pleased about the main capsule one either here. I think I would want to move this up. With just more headroom, maybe. Something like that. I think that's a little weird. I'm not sure. Not sure about that. That's fine. Kind of do whatever we want for the vertical one. The width is, again, the limiting factor here. Rhiannon, it's going okay. Things are slowing down at work for a bit. Ooh, I like that. I like to hear that. Things are not slowing down at work for me. This was one of those weeks where I just got a bunch of work kind of dumped in my lap that I was not anticipating. All right, so back to this, I guess. Greg, did you see that Megacrit updated their donation to Godot Foundation after releasing Slay the Spire 2? You found it awesome. They switched to Go after the Unity incident. Yeah, they did. They switched after the Unity thing. It only took them a month apparently to port Slay the Spire. It's cool. They even made I think they made a game. I forgot what they did. They're awesome. The Megacrit is cool. And yeah, it's nice of them to share the wealth, you know, with the foundation. You like the bronze color palette? Yeah, I do too. We're trying to sell this as a rust bucket. We definitely need a lot more texture in the walls and the floors and everything to sell that. The catwalk, I think, is pretty reasonable. I'm enjoying that. It doesn't communicate rusted as maybe much as I would like, but I think it'll be cool. I think we'll have some of the shinier colors on some of the bigger ships. Some of the bigger, more expensive ships, we'll use the other colors. I think this will be fun for the starter ship. And honestly, maybe you can just give your ship a new coat of paint. Like, that's kind of the thing. That's kind of a normal thing to do in this kind of game. So, yeah, I'm not sold on this. I want this different. I want this to be different. I don't know if I love the little landing. I kind of like the landing. The little, like, raised landing area. I think it's kind of fun. It serves no purpose. And so I could get rid of it and give more space for the engineering room, but I feel like it keeps this from just being a boring old box. And I don't really want it to be a boring old box. And in fact, what we should do is we should probably do the rest of the ceiling stuff too. So we can see that. So we can see what that'll look like. Because based on our normal rule for cutaways, there should be... Oh, man. Based on our normal rule for cutaways, this door is going to get absolutely, like, obscured. I don't think that is a good idea. Maybe it is a good idea. Maybe it is a good idea. I don't know. I might get rid of this as a concept. I like the railings going all the way up to the edge. But it is kind of awkward here. So maybe we don't. Maybe we don't do that. Maybe we move things forward. Because then I can make this room bigger without shoving it off the edge of the screen. We would just move this forward, sort of. Oh, we'd move part of it forward. Am I just going to do this again? I don't really want to. Let's see if we can surgically alter this. It might make more sense to just redo it, though. Greg, they did a game jam to try Godot out. Yeah, they posted like a game jam game. It looked cool. It looked fun. It was a cool piece of, outreach for the engine of like, wow, look how easy it was for us to make a game in this engine. It's cool. Yeah, the user base doubled in October of 2023, the Godot user base. And it's been, that's when I joined, I'm a Unity refugee like everyone else. That's why a lot of this game is programmed in C#. All right, take it easy, Nix. Enjoy your long weekend here. Maybe I'll see you Saturday. No stream tomorrow. No stream Friday. I got shit to handle. All right, well, I have the drawing tool. Do we just draw? Do we just draw this out again? Well, the engine 4, I think we could actually fix. Let's try to do that first. Let's see if we can fix this. So if I wanted to move this forward, man, I really do like the setback, but I think it's... Unless I change the rules about how cutaways work, I will not like the result. Because, yeah, we'll cut away like a significant portion of the door. It's nice, though. It is nice. Yeah, let's try it. Let's try it. Let's give it a try. If we don't like it, we can always go back. I think it would help with some of the awkwardness here. If it would just stuck out and was just this one thing. Like, if we get rid of this. This part's a little trickier. Oh, wrong layer. Classic Dave. This part needs to come up. We're gonna do it this way. This has the benefit of being more consistent, if nothing else. Whose pixel is this? Who's an unattended pixel? Yeah, maybe that's for the best. Yeah, Aliens was good last night, as always. It's never not. Such a good film. Watched it while I was drawing and eating dinner and stuff. It's sad. I asked so many people what movie I should watch. Well, I say sad. I solicited a lot of opinions from people yesterday about what movie I should watch. Between some of the new movies. I say new movies. Some of the movies I bought recently on Blu-ray, and I was like, oh, should I watch Aliens or Sunset Boulevard? And literally no one tried to convince me to watch Sunset Boulevard, and that made me sad a little bit. I like Sunset Boulevard. Where's the edge of this thing? Here? Not that I need people, you know, tell me what I can or can't watch. Sometimes you just like a little encouragement, you know? But Aliens was good. It was so long. Watch this 90s cut, this special edition cut or whatever. And I think at some point I realized that I had seen that version of it before, because I was like, this just looks like a regular showing of Aliens. I think that's funny. But man, what a good movie. What an essentially perfect film. James Cameron's pretty good at doing that. Making these essentially perfect sci-fi films. Why is this here? What's going on with the edge of the thing? It's too easy to accidentally cause some kind of weird... I'm going to turn off touch controls. It's messing me up here. I realize what's going on now. This is too far. Stops here. I went too far now. That looks more correct. You had at least one person try to convince you to watch Eraserhead. That doesn't feel like that counts, because that was not on the list of movies I was asking people to choose from. I should watch Eraserhead at one point out of respect. Honestly, what I'm probably going to do is go back and watch Lynch's Dune. Version of Dune. Probably going to do that. I don't think I've ever actually really seen that. version as an adult. And I like everyone involved. I like McLaughlin. Obviously, I like Patrick Stewart, Kyle McLaughlin. He was so good in Fallout. Finished the Fallout show a while ago. I'm a sucker for like 70s and 80s sci-fi. I like 60s sci-fi too. There's a lot less of it, but Pheasant, you don't know why I don't pick up more pirate comedies? Jodorowsky's Dune, the only Dune you watched. Look, Jodorowsky's Dune is the only Dune that no one has ever seen. I've seen Dennis I'm not going to say his name. I've seen the new one. And I've seen the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries, which I think was the best version up until, you know, the new version came out. The miniseries is really good, which is probably part of the reason I never went back to watch Lynch's version. The miniseries version from like the early 2000s or whatever that I think Sci-Fi put together. I don't know who put it together, but that's where I saw it. That one's pretty good, and that one goes all the way through Children of Dune, which is the craziest thing. I mean, people will be like, well, what about God Emperor of Dune? Dune goes off the rails really quickly, is what I've learned about Dune. As someone who hasn't... I've read the original. I never read the, you know, expanded set of Dune books. I've read Dune. No tagline. You love Lynch, you watch their stuff for the vibes. You know what you should go back and do is watch some of his weird little YouTube videos that he put together, that David Lynch put together. Those were hilarious. There's one that's like an instructional video on how to make quinoa, and it's really funny, and you will not learn how to make quinoa from it. He also did a lot of weather report videos during the pandemic that were very good. You watched the Sci-Fi Dune ones way back in the day? Yeah, they were good. I thought they captured the book really well. They were long. They were very long. I think some of those miniseries were like ahead of the curve in terms of the way people approach filming these things nowadays. All right, well, rip this inset. I think we're gonna get rid of it. Try to get rid of it in a way that resorts in the least amount of additional work having to be done. All right, we're heading into ads. Hold on to your ads. Rhiannon, are all three parts of the new one? You watched the first of the new ones, you're waiting until everything is done to watch it all. I'd say go ahead and watch the second part. I'd say you don't need to wait for the third, but, you know, do what you like. I don't think any of it touches Children of Dune. I think it's all just a 3-part telling of, like, the original book, is my understanding. As someone who has a less than perfect understanding of the structure of those stories, I'm pretty sure we're just talking about Dune. Not Children of Dune, not the fever dream that's God Emperor of Dune. Pretty sure we're just talking about Dune here. Yeah, I found a shrink-wrapped version of Alien that I bought a little while back. It's probably the next thing I'm going to watch. Just to go back, because I think as perfect a film as Aliens is, I think I prefer Alien. Like, I think I deeply prefer the first Alien film to Aliens. As good as Aliens is, I think I just prefer Alien in every way. But Aliens was like a huge part of my childhood for sure. That film. This is not the most efficient way to do this, but who cares? Okay, we're gonna try this without the setback. See if that makes our lives easier here. I have to figure out if I want to do anything about those arms. You liked the inset there? Yeah, it's just one block things like that don't work very well with the way that we do our perspective and the way that we do our cutaway. There's certain things that are easy and certain things that are hard, and a one block inset like that is on the list of things that are hard. Oh, I see what's happening. Because we're also going to cover this with a ceiling bit, so anything above this line is going to get cut off. So that would kind of disrupt our inset. I did like it. This is a lot more boring. But again, we could do something bigger and cooler on the bigger version of the ship. Okay, so there's the 4 block for the engine area. And now we have to fix this one. And the only real question is, how big is this room? I think I'm going to widen it back to 5. The only real question is whether to make it 5 blocks deep or not. I think we could go 4 or 3. I don't think we need to make the room particularly deep. Like, we'll have the engine blocks or something in the back here that'll make the room feel bigger as it, like, kind of transitions to the exterior of the shape. gotta observe our constraints. Speaking of sci-fi, you've been reading, Rhiannon, you've been reading The Three Body Problem. You got through the first book. You're stalling hard on the second book. They're two different genres. Oh, no. Yeah, okay, these are separate statements. Yeah, Alien versus Aliens is totally two different genres, and I totally get anyone who is like, I prefer one of those but not the other. I totally get that. What's going to be the least annoying way to do this? I don't know. Probably not this way. I could redraw this from scratch, but I don't want to. So I'm going to copy elements over and just rework it. Primarily involves just picking which parts to copy over. This is maybe an issue of what I'm doing, but whatever. I mainly want to copy over this part of the cutaway because this part of the cutaway should still be consistent. Yeah, it's hard doing a starter ship because there are other areas too where I'm like, wow, it would be really cool to do this. But it's like, do you want to do that on the very first ship? Do you want to use the really cool idea on the first ship? And it's like, well, for a lot of people, they're only ever going to see the first ship. So it's like, yeah, it would make sense to do something cool for the first ship. But it's like, well, then what are you going to have for the other ships? It's like, well, I don't know. Hey, Warmaker. You stumbled onto a VOD like a week ago. You've been trying to catch a stream live. Hey, you caught me. How's it going? Thanks for popping by. We're mocking up some stuff. We're working on a mock-up of the starter ship. We're doing it not in one of our tools. We're just kind of doing it. We're doing it straight up here. Just to avoid the limitations of our tools. Why does this look weird? How's it going? Happy Wednesday. Should be like this. Oh, I see what's happening. All right, so we're going to make this wider. So we're going to move this wall over. We'll probably move this wall up. So I'm going to make it wider, but probably shorten the depth of the room. Is what I think I'm going to do. And this catwalk railing is a little in my door's way, but it's fine. Oh my glob. Attemptic raid, an Otterly raid. How utterly mystifying. How's it going? We're mocking some art stuff up. We're working on our little side project. Raid alert, everyone. Here comes Temptic. Prepare to be tempted. How's it going? How was the stream? Hey, Connie, Monty, Ryun. Yo, raid and run. No worries. Welcome in. Hey, raiders. This is Digital Iliad. We're working on an FTL-like. Working on some FTL-like style stuff. Warmaker, you're saying I could go with how FTL kind of does it, where the starting ship is the all-purpose workhorse and all the other ships simply specialize in specific playstyles or builds. Yeah, I think that would be good. You have a memory leak? Oh no. In Twitch or Sharp? That's such a cool tool. I'm very excited to dig into that when I'm ready to do some Twitch integration. Plugin is almost ready. That's so exciting. Thank you for your service to the Twitch Godot C# community. Very specific overlap. The very specific intersection of that I exist in here. How's it going, Raiders? Ref counted is causing issues. Oh no. Yeah, Warmaker. I do want to make a big FTL-like game. That's like this I'm showing here. That's like Star Trek scale, where you have like a big battleship and you do FTL style stuff. But I need to start small because we've been working on this for a long time already, and we've barely started putting together systems needed to do this sort of thing. So we have like a big roadmap, this many year roadmap all the way through this big thing. We've been kind of working on the initial pieces of it, and I have an idea for a side project that's kind of like an FTL light kind of idle game that I want to make, and that's kind of what we're focused on right now. That's kind of a proof of concept, but it is more of a casual simulation kind of game, so it's going to be more about your character, and it's going to be more ambient. Like, it only relies on a small subset of the tools that I'm developing in systems for the bigger strategy game. And so for this, the starter ship is like no additional crew members. It's going to be the smallest version of the ship. Like, you're going to be missing a bunch of quality of life features, which is why we're trying to make it kind of a junker. So yeah, making it general purpose, it does need to do everything, but it's going to be the worst version of everything. This initial ship that we're building. All right, see ya, Temptic. Thanks for the raid. Appreciate it. But that's kind of the direction we're going at the moment with this side project that we're working on. Which we're mocking up here. So I'm trying to adjust the engine compartment to be a better size that I think would be helpful. It would be better for the starting ship, you know? It's like I said, I don't want to spend all my cool ideas in the first version of the ship. But anyway, welcome in, Raiders. Thanks for hanging out here. I'm gonna be having a pretty chill art stream here for the next hour or so. I've not been good about managing my time, so sorry for not having the most time to do this compared to what I would like to be doing. This should go over here the way I've set up my rules. There should be like a thing here, bro. And maybe it should be one more up. Maybe it should be like this. I don't actually know how I do the single door. Let me look at it. That's over. But it's cut off, so it's like way lower. I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. So this is the top. This is this part. Yeah, I guess it should be like this, huh? I think this looks a little weird, but okay. I think I like this better. I think it's less accurate, but I think I like it better. Hey, Corolla. Looking good on the pixel art. Thank you. Appreciate that, Corolla. How are you doing? Be like this. It's less horrible. Yeah, it kind of communicates the fact that there's a door here. It also looks kind of weird. I don't know. Well, let's fix this rest of this room. So we're going to move the wall out to the side, and we're going to bring the back wall in, and then we'll fix it all. We'll fix everything. So this is 3, I think. So this would be 3. This would be 3 blocks. So let's copy then from here. So I want to bring this in. Oh, I did too much. Gonna leave some of this out. Leave this part out. So we want to move this over 1, so like to here. I think that's right. Watch it be not right, and watch me just be absolutely devastated by that. Corolla, not too bad. You're working on a story slide. Wrestled you through your 3D software for a couple hours before realizing you really don't know it that well, and it'd be faster to just paint it. True. That's partly why we're mocking this up like this instead of using any of our tools for it. Hey, Bard Lane. What are we doing? We ladding? You mean laddering? Ladders? Yeah. Yeah, we're changing this engine room. We removed this inset we were using for the door, and we're resizing the room, so we're breaking up the walls and moving things around. We were looking at our capsule art and comparing the composition we have with some of our different capsule framings that we need to provide. I don't know how I feel about having the front edge of the bubble cut off and them just kind of zooming off in the space, but maybe it's okay. I don't really want to crowd these elements in the middle, but I don't know. I haven't figured out what I want to do about that. We're thinking about it. We're really using all of the side the width that we have available to us. It's a conundrum. You like this one? Thank you. Yeah, it's an improvement. Contrast is looking okay. The curve of the planet being followed by the arc of the text on the right. The contrast is great. Thank you. But yeah, I feel like I still shouldn't like move the text over too much. I feel like if I get them too close, it's weird. So I'm just going to leave everything. Don't move the text over. You got it. Yeah, I got to figure out, especially the small capsule. I think I just need to do a bigger version of it and accept that the pixelation might look weird. And I have to just wait and see about that. So I have a smaller version of the text, but I don't think I can make it work. Unless I changed a lot. Unless I changed a lot of things. I like it. I think we're getting close. Appreciate that. The negative curve in between is working to make a nice shape. Good. Good. Yeah, this is nice. I think we're finally getting there. I think this is close to what we're going to use. I think I don't care anymore about what people's read of this big pink circle is anymore. Because, like, I read it as a sun or gas giant or whatever, and it's you know, its star juices are being pulled into this black hole. That's what I think of. But if someone thinks of it as this thing that's like flying out from here towards the player, I think that's funny too. They think of it as like a big projectile or something zooming by in front of them. I think that's also funny. Either way, it's this vastly destructive force in the background. Kind of reminds you of an eye, Ryun. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, we're all in on the circles here, I guess. But yeah, I think this has the makings of an acceptable little piece of capsule art here. I don't think I want to mess around with it much more. We'll give it a pass and we'll exaggerate the contrast and we'll do some stuff like the way we've got this one done up, maybe add a bit of noise, do a few things. We'll see. We'll do some processing when we actually pull out the specific resolution of the things. It looks like a spotlight. Okay, that's okay too, because that's kind of what it's supposed to be doing from a functional standpoint, is it's spotlighting, you know, our character. The only thing I could do is I could offset the character to be like more towards the back of the bubble. And then provide more empty space in front of them. But I don't know. I think it's kind of funny that they're already like flying off the screen. Like, I think for the motion of the image, I think it's all right. I think it's going okay. We'll see. We'll try some stuff. This will be fine for like a vertical. Something like this. Yeah, I think it's all right. So we're back to working on our mock-up here, the scene. So this is 3. So is this totally lined up with the floor like this? I think I'm just gonna fill this in myself. I'm pretty sure this is 3 blocks. 3 blocks deep. What I would hate to do is to work this out and then be totally wrong about that. Oh, I want to copy the whole thing. Player. I'll grab one thing. So 1. I should probably do this backwards, huh? So 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is 4. Okay, 4. Well, more or less. I put this at the wrong height. Okay, so this is 4 blocks. Do we like 4 blocks? Is 4 blocks all right? It would terminate here. If we do the wall here. Which I think is fine. Hey, we're shot. So what is this like? A side scroller or more isometric? It's isometric. I can show you kind of the tool that we've been working on. It's dimetric, so it's lower than isometric. It's about half the steepness of the angle of isometric. So in pixel art terms, it's 4:1, not 2:1. And that helps me because my character drawings are very flat because they're very low res. So it's kind of got this pop-up book kind of presentation. I can show it to you the way we've resolved the rendering issue of it. It's a 3D world being rendered in 2D. So it's supposed to be like FTL, but with like a third dimension to it. So you can stack things and everything. I'll show you part of our little gray box tool. Hey, Playful Chiva. Where have we gone? So I can make like... So we already have systems to handle the rendering and the cutaway. So I start building this out like a flying housing block. I can start designating compartments. We start getting this nice cutaway. So this is like an in-game editor tool I have to build ships. But it's all gray box, which is why we're hand drawing our mock-up. Pick a spot like maybe here. That's super cool. Oh, I appreciate that. So here's the cool part. We understand what these compartments are and we can scroll through them. So we can, because you have a 3D visualization problem here, which you can resolve with something like this. And so we can be down in here and be like, oh, what's going on the deck above us? I see something, I see the edge of something I'm interested in. We can be like, boop. Or we could scroll back down, you know, and scroll through walls and stuff. Because yeah, the visual design problem, the visibility problem of working in this perspective is pretty debilitating. But we've got overlaps working pretty nicely. This is what I was talking about with the overhanging ceiling. We need to draw this out. And the overhanging ceiling was going to ruin the door inset, the 1 pixel door, or the 1 block door inset. Oh, thank you for the follow, worst shot. Really appreciate that. But yeah, this is kind of these are some of the, you know, design issues we've been addressing. But this is just a tool, so I've been wanting to like focus more on the art and define and solve some more art problems that we've been having. So we've been focused on that. We're really focused on trying to get a Steam page up. We set ourselves a game plan for this year, which is to make a Steam page in Q2, get a trailer in Q3, and put out a little demo in Q4. These are going to be successively more difficult things to do, but it's what we're aiming for. And right now we're working on the Steam page, which is why I've been obsessing about capsule art pieces and mocking up some screenshot-like things so that we can work out what our final art direction is. Because there's some stuff that people have told me you really need to have locked down for a Steam page. Things like art direction, genre. You know, we're working on it. We're working on it. You'll be back getting a coffee. Ooh, that sounds nice. That sounds nice. I would love to go get a coffee. I might do that a little later. Maybe a tea. I'm feeling tea. Corolla, the terrain of your game has a weird projection as well. It's rendered at 26.5 degrees from the plane. Each tile is in reality twice as tall as it is wide. Some slight stretching is required, so circles need compensation. Are you doing this in 2D, or is this being like, is this a 3D perspective thing? Is it orthographic then? I'm pretty interested in that. Because for us, there's really only two choices. Oh my glob. I'm going to pronounce this horribly. I'm going to do the most gringo pronunciation I can do. Kabali Pena. Welcome in. How's it going? Thank you for being follower number 700 and getting us to our follower goal. Really appreciate that. It's a 2D game with pre-rendered sprites. Okay. So we were talking about this earlier, like what's the rule that you're using for the drawing them? So like for me, for isometric, I follow the 2-to-1 rule. So I do 2 pixels over for every 1 pixel up. And that leads us to, have this kind of compressed view. But it's even in each direction, right? Each face. It's not distorting the faces, really. Whereas when I do my dimetric, I'm going over by 4 for every vertical movement. And this is shortening the Z-plane, right? And then so for you, are you headed in this direction, or are you doing the opposite? Are you doing like an oblique one where you actually have more vertical movement? Like maybe you have a 1-to-1. I've never done 1-to-1. I'd be interested in doing an oblique projection, which would be like doing something like this. I think this would be interesting. I don't quite know what I would do with something like this, but I think it would be cool. You'll see this kind of oblique perspective a lot in military games. It's often called military perspective by some people. You have this sort of a thing. Maybe something like this. You can like exaggerate. You can either compress the X and Y planes and exaggerate the Z plane, or you can do the opposite. That's what we do. It sounds like you're doing more like what I'm doing. I have a hard time thinking in terms of angles specifically. Goal reached. Thanks, Bart. Pronounce like penna. Okay. Kabali penna. Okay. Kabali is fine. All right. Corolla, you're using 3D software to render it out, so it's kind of okay. You're doing like the Dead Cells approach. Oh, then you can do whatever you want. Nice. Yeah, that's cool. Hey, Hotel Soap, how do you fight the urge to make things perfect instead of shipping what you have? That's a great question. Definitely hard. The only way to do that is with deadlines. It's closer to Corolla. The top face looks much bigger than the sides. Okay. Cool. So it is like this kind of almost oblique kind of look. Nice. But Hotel Soap, which is a great name. It's really down to deadlines. Because if you work on, what I've heard, the nice little phrase that we like to use is like, you can deliver on scope, or you can like deliver on deadline. And so if you deliver on scope, you're working very open-ended process, and you're like, I just need to deliver the features that I want to deliver, and it will take me an infinite number of time to do it. And so like that's hard, and that's antithetical to like delivering on deadline, which is like, this is going to be done and workable by this point. What's helped me has been, welcome back, Worst. What's helped me is been doing game jams. Game jams have helped me get into the deliver on deadline mindset. And so now even when I'm working on this big project, or, you know, a side project that's part of a big project, I'm thinking of it as like almost like an extended game jam. Because in a game jam, you don't have the option of just pushing the deadline. You're like, I cut features to get this thing out. I get you. It needs to be good enough, not perfect, right? So having a real deadline, I think, is a good way to start. And it helps you build up the self-discipline. A particular kind of self-discipline. I'm not saying you don't have self-discipline. Because continuing to work at something until it's perfect is a kind of self-discipline, but it's like the wrong one, right? So yeah, I would try some game jams, or think of it, try to set some rules for yourself in terms of deadlines. Like, what's helped me get comfortable with that idea has been doing game jams. Because yeah, I've been working on all the systems for this larger FTL-like kind of indefinitely. And then at the beginning of this year, kind of around GDC, we switched gears and we really doubled down on this plan, which was to deliver a set number of things, by the end of the year, which is like a Steam page, a game trailer, and like a demo. I should probably rename this like the Steam demo instead of the vertical slice. And yeah, setting milestones and objectives and sticking with them and deadlines, I think, is the only way to get yourself to move off from pursuing perfection. Because yeah, I could work on any aspect of this game indefinitely, and I have spent way too long on that tech demo I showed earlier. I've spent way too long building tools and way not enough time working on the game, and I'm trying to break my mindset away from that and focus on content instead of systems. What's the side scroller base builder view, like Oxygen Not Included, called? You could call it 2.5D. I maybe wouldn't. Because like usually a game like that will have like a two-dimensional foreground plane. That's the plane on which you play the game. And then it might have a background plane that is more or less 3D, but it's not interactable from like a 3D standpoint. So I would probably think of it as like side-scrolling with some like parallax or something, or I don't know. I've heard it talked about different ways. I'm not sure what the technical way of referring that would be. It's a good question. Hey, Shrimp Man. Talking to Hotel Soap here. The sooner you finish your current game, the sooner you can start a new interesting project. No project is going to be perfect, but you gain valuable experience with each project you actually finish. Yeah, I think that's a good Worst, or like those pirate ship cutout view games. Yeah, I think it depends on a lot on the specifics. You can kind of look up from a Wikipedia standpoint, like axonometric views, and you'll get an idea from kind of the stuff I'm doing, but I'm not sure. Juicy 2D, Lost Sleep. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think most of the time in games, when we talk about a unique perspective, we just talk about that game. We just reference the game we're talking about. I think that's fine. Shrimpman's, I think, got good advice. You can do what I'm doing and kind of work on your dream project that's very open-ended. But I think each project has a certain... Like, every idea has a certain... I think there's a certain It's like a random walking algorithm. Each game that you could make has some certain maximum value associated with it. And like sometimes the game has a maximum, is like some kind of local maximum that seems high but is actually not, where you're like, wow, I think this game has legs, as they like to call it, but it actually doesn't. And it's like a demo or a jam game or something. And then sometimes you find something small that ends up unlocking this huge thing, right? Where there's this like incredible capacity, either in terms of mechanical depth or storytelling potential or like visual interest. I think each game kind of has its own maximum value associated with it, where like no matter how much work you put into it, you could maybe boost it or above its ceiling a little bit the more work you put into it, but it's like, how easy is it to get it there? Like, and so I think it is good to focus on making smaller projects and to try to make more of them, because like, unless you're like an expert game designer, which I'm not, it's going to be hard to tell in advance what games have that like quality that warrants the continued effort. And so it is true that like the more games you can just make, the more likely you are to just stumble on something that's good. Whereas like you could keep just kind of pushing a specific idea and trying to find the fun. But I think a game will tell you pretty quickly whether it's fun or not. There's certain genres that this is easier or harder to do in, like strategy games, like what I like working on. Really hard to tell what the potential of that game is, because a strategy game needs to have all of its systems working and working together before you have any idea of whether it's fun. Whereas like a Vampire Survivors, like you can kind of tell whether you've got a good take on it like pretty quickly or not, right? Well, maybe that's a bad example because a roguelike is similar. Like a roguelike has a bunch of different loops. Like you have tight loops, you have medium loops, you have big loops. All games have this. Some of them have it more explicitly than others, where like you have a series of loops and you might be like, wow, this tight loop is really good. Or maybe the tight loop isn't that good, but like the medium loop is going to be what makes it. Or the big loop of like the meta game is going to be what makes it. And I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. We're just talking. I'm a little unfocused. Shrimp Man, you struggle with finishing games too? You think finishing games is a skill in and of itself? Oh yeah, there's certain stuff, there's certain things you can only learn by finishing a game, right? It's one of those things where it's like you learn the stuff about starting a game really well. Like, how do I like to ideate? How do I like to prototype? People learn how to start a game really easily, right? Because they do it all the time. But it's like there are definitely skills that only can be learned when you finish a game. And I don't just mean like the skill of like putting a game on Steam or whatever, or like providing post-jam support or post-launch support or like whatever. Like there is something about publishing a game. You will learn things from that you cannot learn from like simulating it or going through and stopping before that point or whatever. So yeah, like completing the whole thing is good. But it is okay to drop a project. It's totally okay to drop a project and move on. I don't think people necessarily need to finish every game they start, you know? I don't know. All right, how am I going to copy this over in a way that isn't just terrible? But we're just making conversation here. I'm not judging anyone's approach. We're saying you have to do things a certain way. What am I doing? Oh, I'm pulling back up. Let's see. Lost sleep. Yeah, you feel like outside of AAA, you're far more likely to succeed by effing around and finding out, especially as a solo dev. It's impossible for one person to grasp every aspect of a game. Yeah, it's also tough when you're a solo dev because whenever you're working on one thing, you're not working on anything else. So it's really hard to like push certain kinds of games, for sure, as a solo dev. That's why I think it's good if you're a solo dev to focus on systematic things. Games where there's a lot of system complexity and a lot of the joy comes out of that. Because it's like if you're a solo dev, you are not going to have the time to make maximum amounts of content, right? Like, you just won't have time to make that much content. Content is your bottleneck when you're a solo dev. So it's like, what else can you leverage? I think I did this kind of wrong. I think I want to approach this a different way. I think 4 deep is going to be fine for this engine room. 4 deep and 5 wide. I would like to not have a lot of square rooms. I think it makes sense for the cargo room bay to be a square room, but I would like to generally avoid that. None of what I said was probably helpful, but, you know, also off by 1 here. I'd also be very suspicious of people who talk about the way to succeed in the games industry. Pay attention to people who show you how to succeed in the games industry. Don't necessarily listen to people who talk about how to succeed in the games industry. Watch what they do. Don't listen to what they say, you know? Because for one thing, they might not even know what they did to succeed in the industry, right? There's no way to know for sure. All right, so if I'm moving this thing over here, I'm moving it out and over. So over is like this. This actually needs to be out like here and in line with this. Yeah, I think this will work out. I just kind of yellowed that, but I think it's in line. It might not be. One time, off by 1. Oh, great, off by 1. It's all right. I was like, can I do it 1 time? The answer is no. Yeah, I think this is good because we generally want to keep most of the action in this center square. We're trying to keep most of the things going on in the center square, and I think this is good. And I think most of this interior space is going to be filled with like engine compartment stuff. So like a big piece of the engine or something. Let's clean it up. Solo dev is very hard. It can be rewarding too, for sure. Yeah, it's the only way for me. It's not that I hate people, but I do have a very strong opinion about how things should be, and I don't want to spend all my energy arguing about it. But there is a cost. There is a cost, which is that it takes me a long time to make content. Because if I'm making content, I'm not doing something else. And if I'm doing something else, I'm not making content. It's tough. It's tough to... the task switching has a very high price. So I like to do it as little as possible. Like, we've been working on art for like weeks, and we're going to continue to work on art for weeks. And when we go back to programming, we'll be done for art for a while. Because a lot of your progress in this area is kind of based on how much of it you're able to keep in your head at a time. I don't know if I'm feeling the 3x5 room. Especially if most of the detail... this is going to be too big. I think this room is going to be too big. Is there much programming happening off stream or just art? Not a lot of programming off stream. I'll probably be doing some more tonight. What I've been working on off stream in terms of programming has really been about getting the code base split up and modularized in a way that we can use common code functionality in Lo-Fi Flyby, and we can reuse that code in like the main game, for example. And so my real struggle has been just removing dependencies so that that works. And so that, you know, improvements to the common code in one project can be used in other projects. That's what I've been working on. The next thing that I really need to work on is like serialization of ships and some other block editor tool stuff. All right, we're going to try this 3x5 engine room. Since we're going to be mostly filling it with stuff anyway, I think this will be better because we're at least going to be pulling back the cutaway. Whereas I think if it's a raw 3x3 room, the cutaway is just overwhelming. Is my concern. So let's rewrite this here for this. Oi. There we go. Lost sleep. You fell into a trap with your first project. The systems and UI were very simple, but there was so much narrative content that was just impossible for you to continue. Oh, yeah. You get a 10-15 minute demo on itch, so it was a success. You need way more experience and help before you go back to it. Yeah. That's why I like something like this. A systems heavy game. That's why a lot of small devs have success with systems heavy games, where it's like you build a pretty complicated project, but it's stuff that can have like user generated content and everything. Cause it's like I showed my tool for building ships, and it's like, yeah, the idea is that I do build a lot of the content, but I'm planning on leaning into things like mod support, so that a lot of the complexity that I introduce, that's systematic complexity, can then be taken by the players and turned into like complexity of content too. So like knowing what your strengths are, both as an individual and also for the kind of thing that you're doing, is like pretty important. But I'm also making an idle game here, so the amount of I'm also going to need a lot of content, right? I will need a lot of content at a certain point, especially for this version, which is why I'm spending so much time on art here. And why we're mocking this up instead of doing it in the gray box is because I need to start making decisions about the art. I need to start making more decisions about the art. A lot more decisions. Okay, so this appears to be off by more than one. I don't quite understand what's happening here. I think I messed up in terms of lining this up. Because it should line up with something like around here. Let's double check the block. Let's double check that we did this right. Because I don't think I did. In terms of sizing. This is why splicing and resizing things can be kind of hard. You're just eyeballing it. All right, we'll put this here. And we'll just measure. how many blocks we've got. Rhiannon, there's also going to hopefully be a lot of fun emergent storytelling without me having to write everything. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I'll have to write all the little... You have to write all the elements. Like, I have to write all the little pieces. Oh, yeah, this is way too big. I made this 6 blocks big instead of 5. Okay. That's relatively easy to fix. But it's like the events that cause those story elements to emerge and be combined and stuff, that's something that we can do. That's something we can do procedurally. Okay, this looks way more correct. Okay. Lost Sleep, you're working on a very by-the-book 3D action platformer now. You're really focused on your character controller, and any content you make will pay dividends with rich systems. Yeah, exactly. Starting with, that's a good way to put it. Starting with rich system design is very good. Very good for a small or a solo team to focus on. But you can also do what I did, which is get lost in systems design and not make any content for like over a year. So it's definitely, you can definitely take it too far. You can take it not far enough. Lots of ways it can go down. So what the heck is going on here? So that's you. Ah, I get it. Sometimes there's a kind of MC Escher aspect of doing this. It can be momentarily very confusing. Ooh. Well, we're getting there. I think that's a much better amount of room. I need to cut this wall back by 1. You know, let's finish this corner first. Since I think this corner is set. I'll do the other one. Lost Sleep, yeah, it's a balance for sure. Luckily, your turnaround on 3D assets is pretty quick these days. It's easy to take a quick break from your programming and do some character design for an afternoon. That's good. That's good. All right. Yeah, having a quick having a good workflow is really key. That's why everyone always tells you that iteration speed is like the most important thing in game dev. It's like, yeah, you can do planning, you can do all of this stuff, but like the real king is iteration speed. Because the faster you can iterate, the faster you can try stuff out, take that feedback, and then do something else. There's not much else that's better than that. All right. Okay, I'm happy with that. We need to peel this wall back 1 more. We did this slightly wrong. Hold on to your ads. We're heading into ads over on Twitch. Don't forget about your Prime subs, y'all. You don't have to use them on me, just use them on someone. Spend them Bezos bucks. Don't let the dragon drag on. This seems wrong. Whatever's happening here. Do I have an example? Oh, that's correct. Thanks, Rhiannon. Appreciate that. Yeah, for any game devs who are looking for a place to, you know, share their work, get feedback, maybe get a little troubleshooting now and again with like Godot. We do have a Discord. And obviously it's, you know, oriented around my games and the stuff I'm working on, but it's a community. And I would be stupid not to acknowledge that, you know, most of my community here are also game devs. Do I need to eventually reach out to larger audiences? Probably. Do I need to worry about that right now? Not really. Will we eventually start doing YouTube shorts? I think so. I can't wait till I get the simulation going and we have characters animating, doing silly things. I can start making like shorts and stuff. That'll be cool. Well, eventually you do need to appeal beyond to a larger audience, but you know, for now we just gotta do the thing. Okay. This is about what I need for now. What we do need to do is start putting in the ceiling cutaway. So like I need to add one more layer here and have it overhang. And I kind of need to do that everywhere, but especially here. Does this match up now? Sort of, not exactly. I need to add some stuff to the engine for... That's not the engine for. What's the engine for, anyway? Thank you, good night. We're like mocking up the cutaway in here because I'm not quite sure exactly how I want to frame the scene. And so we're kind of just mocking it up, which is rather silly, but should help. Oh. What's going on here? Did I go too low? I did. Went too low. Once you have the Steam page up and start getting wish lists and stuff, you'll hopefully get more non-devs in there. Oh yeah, and I think shorts will do that a lot too. I think that'll definitely help. This music's dope. What is this? I like this. Yeah, we're going to slowly be expanding. It's one of those things where I think it'll just naturally happen. I'm hoping it'll just naturally happen, which is like, obviously, you know, the first couple of years when I was just programming, no one's going to be interested in watching me programming a game except people who are, you know, people who program games. And, you know, those people don't necessarily want to watch me do art either. So it's like, we appeal to different audiences at different times. And as the game gets more complete, that will just naturally change. So once the game is up and, you know, we have characters running around doing things, we can make shorts about like fun interactions and little things in the game. Like that'll just naturally appeal more to people who are, you know, well, A, people who watch YouTube shorts, hopefully, but B, people who are more playing the game, who may also be people who make games, but that's not the important part. And that transition will just naturally occur. Okay. So we're faking our cutaway a little bit. We need to change this. All right, so we're getting there. I see a discrepancy here. Well, A, this doesn't have the highlights, which is weird. A, we're missing some highlights for some reason. Oop. Oh, in fact, we're not even doing this right. Oh. I don't know why that got messed up. Oh, because of the cutaway. Sure. Okay, that's consistent now. Relatively. I kind of like this ceilingless cutaway. It's like our old terraced cutaway that we were doing, but I think I like it in isolation, but I think in practice it's not necessarily what we want. So we'll continue to, we'll add the quote-unquote hood here to this. You know, I could have done this. I could have gone farther with this, but it's fine. Let's add it to here, because this is an obvious place where we're going to need it. Firstly, let's add it here. Walls, grabbing this. replacing a bunch of these. We're laying bricks. There's a more efficient way to do this, but I think this is kind of fun. As long as we're not shitting bricks, right? Whatever that means. Hello? It's weird. Why are you not responding? Oh man, do I have different controls on this computer than the other computer? I very well might. My tablet is misbehaving. Marlene's just like, what? That's a correct question. You had me on low volume and you heard something about pooping bricks. It's impossible to say what I did, to know what I did or did not say. How did I mess this up so badly? I copied one of these is what I did when I was messing around with my tablet, trying to get my tablet to work right. If we're trying to keep the channel clean, Bart Lane. The Lone Sheriff. Digital Iliad Town. Why is someone trying to call me right now? Boo. There's almost no chance that it's a legitimate phone call. Anytime we get into any kind of... As soon as there's an election on the horizon, I just get so many spam calls all day, every day. I am not. So now we're doing this overhang. Which makes the rooms that we carve out even smaller than they would be otherwise. But I think the overhang works once you've got everything in place. It makes the cutaway feel real, feel like multi-dimensional, which is nice. Now I just gotta clean up this line work. Alright, we're gonna have to wrap it up here in probably about 10 minutes. I got a meeting, and I need to get some lunch before my meeting. And yeah, again, there's not gonna be a stream tomorrow or Friday. I got some stuff going on. I am needed elsewhere. But we'll be back on Saturday. And we have a whole game jam next weekend, which is gonna be very exciting. With all the good stuff that entails. Oh, I need to vote in the second round before it ends. I have to figure out what my login info is so I can do that. Tried to do it yesterday. I really don't know what I did. I probably did some login with Google or something. It said login with itch, and I'm like, would I have done that? The whole login with thing is so confusing. Like, I think it's neat, but it's like, It's so hard to keep track of all my different logins for all these different things. It's the one time where I'm like, maybe it would be nice if we had one of those like digital like real ID things like you see in other countries where they can use the same information for all these different services. But those other places usually also have privacy laws that protect them. Or they live in a place where you don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy anyway, so you're like, well, what's to lose? Yeah, I get it's so exhausting trying to remember all this stuff. All these different services, managing all these different services I log into. All right, so now oop. Guess it should look like this. I was doing a lot of banging around with a hammer upstairs right now. It's like, man, get a job. I'm just kidding. Okay, I think this is correct. Oh, I forgot the other edge. This has been fun, though. I've had fun today. Again, I appreciate the raid from Temtic. Appreciate anyone who's hung around since then. Appreciate those of you who just pop in anyway. Say hi. Really appreciate that. Probably eventually need to do some kind of shadow thing to demonstrate how this works. But yeah, you kind of want this kind of hood-like thing to hang over. And I need to combine that over here. That's what I'll work on next time, is finishing up this room and then probably working on the next couple rooms. We have an airlock we need to make down here, which I think I'll do first. And then we need a pilot's room up here in the front. Like an operations kind of area where they'll have all this stuff to control the ship. And back here will be the stuff to like power the ship. And then down here will be like the airlock. I think I'd prefer side airlocks, but we're going to have just one little front airlock since, again, this is supposed to be the janky starter ship. I still think this room might be too big. Maybe the next version of the ship will have a front-loading cargo thing. And so we have more room in the back for like an even bigger engine room or something. Do a Firefly style. You watching anything tonight? No, tonight is my Godot. I have a Godot co-working meetup. I have a virtual co-working meetup. I do those a lot. Tuesdays are one of my days where I can kind of just do whatever. So I do like to watch a movie or something and work on Tuesdays. But yeah, tonight I'll be networking. And also probably working on that modularization code I was talking about. Should be good. But yeah, I think I gotta wrap it up here. I gotta go get something to eat before my meeting starts. Seeing what's going on. Big Boy Games just started. Let's go over. Let's go there. Let's hang out. Let's hang out with Big Boy. Thank you. Thank you, Bart Lane. Whenever I get raided into, I try to raid out. I try to keep the raid train going. Big Boy Games is a good Godot developer. But yeah, no stream Thursday, no stream Friday. We'll be back Saturday. Maybe I will do an extra long stream to try to make up for it. But next week we have the Solo Developer Jam number 11. Very excited. Very excited for that one. That'll probably be the last jam we do for quite some time. Probably until like the fall. Late summer, fall, early fall. We got lots to do. We got a lot of stuff to actually do. You know, that's our regular work. We'll see. There's usually a solo development summer jam. It's going to be hard to avoid doing that, but we're trying. We'll see how we feel. Oh, excuse me. Got the yawns. But thank you all. Thanks to all the new faces. It'll be like 3 jams in 5 months. Right now we're doing 3 jams in 3 months. Too many jams. We crashed out of the second one. Big surprise. Yeah, we're going to try to stick the landing here with the 3rd jam. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. You have a great rest of your week, and I'll maybe see you on Saturday. Bye.